Hello, everyone. My name is Tooways Asmal. Welcome to another episode of Tooways to Skin a Cat, a show where we talk career experiences, entrepreneurship, and investments. The main aim is to show that there's more than one way to be successful other than just climbing the corporate ladder. We are live on LinkedIn and YouTube, and the show will be available on podcast by tomorrow morning. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and click on that notification bell to get automatically notified when the next episode comes out. If you are joining us live, drop a one in the comments so that we know we're not talking to ourselves. And if you're watching the recording, drop a two in the comments. My guest for this week is Andre Bothma, tax technician, founder of Tax Maverick, and as I like to call him, the tax man for the everyman. Andre, thanks so much for joining me today.
Thanks, Tooways. It's a pleasure being here.
Let's jump into the meat of things. For those who are not on Twitter and who've never seen you anywhere else, tell us your story. Where do you come from? And even outside of work, who is Andre Bothma? Give us that backstory.
Well, a bit of a background check. Yeah, so I come from Mossel Bay, small fishing village with a drinking problem, and I started out in the accounting world as an accounting clerk. Moved to Cape Town, really loved and I wanted to get my teeth into tax because I like tax from, let's say, after my first 2 years of working in the accounting field, and then things progressed from there. So I've been in the tax space for about 13 years now total. And on Twitter, I've built a bit of a social media platform on both Twitter and YouTube, as you've mentioned, where I do the tax education side on YouTube, which I built just because it wasn't there, and I felt that it was necessary to have something on YouTube, because YouTube is no longer a platform where you just watch cat videos. And then I did the exact same thing on Twitter because I realized, look, if everybody has the same question, but nobody is answering the question, why don't I be the person who answers the question that everybody's asking? So that's what I did on Twitter, and it seemed to have worked out in my favor. But yeah, that's been my career, and in the tax world, I did a higher diploma through a high diploma in taxation through the IITF, International Institute of Tax and Finance, and yeah, and I did UNISA, but I'm a bit of a uni dropout. So I had to use recognized prior learning in order to get my HDIP tax.
Oh, that's very interesting. I didn't even know there was an international tax qualification. So that's something that I learned today. And outside of work,
Oh, outside of work, I'm a dad. I'm a husband. I've got a set of twins. We've got three kids. Uh, a boy and a girl, 8 months old, and then a toddler, 4 years old. Um, and I like to do jujitsu, bit of martial arts on the side, and I'm also very fond of role-playing games like Dungeons and Dragons and World of Warcraft. Um, yeah, and I like making videos, and I'm busy writing a book. So it's a busy life, but I like it that way.
amazing, amazing. Also, congratulations. I see your business has jumped over the 1 year hurdle a few months ago. So congrats on that.
Thank you
Why
so
did
much.
why did you decide to start your own business instead of maybe working for a larger tax or financial accounting company?
So I think it was a two-pronged idea, because I always thought I was going to be either in tax compliance for a long time, or become a senior tax consultant, then work my way into being a tax manager at a firm that's not owned by myself. But the idea jumped out at me when I realized, it was last year I started doing some extra work on the side, and I just tested the idea. Let me put out an ad on Twitter, and so one of my friends created the ad for me on Twitter, and she created it in November, but I only used the ad in April. So I procrastinated on doing that, and I said, okay, I'm going to put out this ad. I'm going to advertise. I do tax consulting for individuals, and I do tax returns for individuals. And what happened was, just for that month of April, May, and June, I was able to earn about almost 50% of my basic salary that I earned. And I was like, and this was from extra work, let's say 8 to 10 hours a week. And then the bells rang. I was like, okay, this makes sense. There is demand. Why not start a tax consultancy firm, but that's not focused on corporates, but rather on individuals?
I
So,
actually want to jump on that though. So, like most tax companies that I know, they focus on big corporates and they charge expensive rates.
mhm.
Why did you decide, okay, I'm not going to do what everybody else is doing, what everybody else is focusing on? Because I don't know of anybody else who has yes, there's people doing individual tax, but it's not their main focus. It's maybe something they do on the side or like because they're doing the company, they do the owner kind of thing. But that's your focus, the individual.
Mhm.
So give
Mhm.
us some thoughts there.
Well, it only struck me recently, but if you think about it, every company, every registered company requires an accountant, whether that is external or internal. But that company has sometimes one, sometimes 100 employees working for them, right? And often those individuals have to shop around for their own tax practitioner and whatnot. And so you have, let's say, 2.5 registered companies with SARS, but you have over 22 million individual taxpayers registered with SARS. But the portion that the accountants and tax practitioners are trying to go after is corporates, because I think that's where the money is at. But now there's this unserved market, and I thought, what if I can just get 1%? 1%. It's low enough. It's a low enough figure. People say, oh, but individuals can submit their own returns. That's true. But now we see, with SARS issuing admin penalties very early, individuals um, still require a similar and good service, just like a corporate just like a corporate company would need.
Okay, that gives us a good idea. And then I say focusing on the individual is one thing. Why did cryptocurrency tax become such a focus? And is that something you also invest in?
So one of the things that I might be blamed for in the CA, or the tax the suit wearing CAs and tax professionals, is that individuals are not complex. So I thought to myself, what are the most complex tax questions individuals could come across? And you have a few examples. One is estates. Another one is people leaving the country or entering the country for the first time. And another one is interesting investments like property or cryptocurrency. And cryptocurrency is very fresh. The Income Tax Act was only updated in 2019, where cryptocurrency started all the way back in 2014. And I was one of the first movers on cryptocurrency, where I did a whole educational thread on Twitter about what is taxable events for cryptocurrency. So I felt like, why don't I become an expert in a very complicated area, which is often not done. It's Companies often do not do cryptocurrency, and so there was just very good synergy there. So that's why I took cryptocurrency.
Okay. For the audience, we'll be responding to questions towards the end. So please add your questions to the comment section now so that we don't miss them. Let's talk Twitter a little bit. You mentioned it briefly, but how did you build up such a huge following? And what is the main, again, you mentioned it slightly, but what is the main focus of your content? Because you're involved in a few things. Well, that's what it seems like.
Yeah, so I mean, Twitter started out for me as a personal finance hobby. I'm very passionate about personal finance. I want people to improve their financial lives, and I thought, why don't I just drop a few nuggets here and there? And that's how I got started. So I would maybe comment something that's useful on a big person's profile. So big following, 150,000, 200,000 followers, and that's how I grew a small following. And then I started doing tax threads. And these tax threads are like, if you see articles like on blogs, I took that, turned it into a point format system, and basically use Twitter as a way to talk to people in a simplified manner compared to what a tax article would normally look like. And that grew like a felt fire. And now I do about four to five threads a year, and they range between 500 retweets and 2,000 retweets, it, because I answer, or I try to expand on things that people want to know about. Um, but over time, I think my follower, so that's mainly the reason for my following. But initially, I got started by by using Twitter not as a platform to just read the news and comment and spread vitriol, but to educate on a platform that's not really known for education. It's more there for live, up-to-date news and memes.
And also giving AKA advice on his on his SARS tax refund. That I enjoyed that one.
Yeah, that was and that's also something is picking up on a trend and then tweeting something related to that trend. And yeah, there was also a podcast where they were talking about donations tax and girlfriend allowance. And
Oh
so
my
I
gosh.
grabbed that and I did a little thread on donations tax, for example.
Okay. And how has your Twitter content helped you as a person and as a professional? There's a lot of young professionals out there. They may be scared of social media. They may be scared to say things. Has it helped you? Has it hurt you? Maybe you can give us some tips there.
I will. I will say this. The accounting world loves the phrase risk, but there's two types of risks. There's perceived risk, where the chance of that risk from occurring is very low, and then there's the real risk, where the chance of the risk from happening is very high. So, for example, life insurance is a real risk because everybody dies, and so that's a real risk. So I thought educating people about tax is not a real risk. In fact, it's a perceived risk. I realized this when I saw a video of Gordon Ramsay, okay, high profile chef, probably the most popular chef in the world, okay, and on YouTube he taught you how to cut an onion. Now, if Gordon Ramsay cuts an onion, I doubt, or I thought to myself, if Gordon Ramsay can teach you on YouTube how to cut an onion, why can't I teach you how to do your tax return uh, via on YouTube? And I kind of do the same thing on Twitter. And what it did is, because I chose the education using it as an educating platform, I don't need to do any marketing in order to generate clients, or because I'm trusted and people come to me. I don't have to sell myself. My content sells me because my content is free. I don't charge for any of my things on Twitter. I don't charge for anything on YouTube. None of my videos are sponsored either. So uh, approaching sales with the heart of a teacher instead of a salesman actually ends up actually being very good for business.
So that, to me, that's definitely the benefit of posting on social media, especially if you're trying to help people. Before we jump into questions from the audience, I want to ask you a question I like to ask all my guests. What is one piece of advice you would give your younger self?
One piece of advice for my younger self. That's a difficult question. I'll say what my wife told me, and that is perseverance. Because 3 years ago, I was sitting in the parking lot at a mall with my wife in the car, and I was in a very bad mood. I wasn't happy. I was unhappy at my job. I felt like quitting tax after a decade in the industry, because I felt like my career was not going really anywhere, and I wanted to go towards maybe becoming a CFP or go into personal finance. And my wife suggested, just to stick with it, and I stuck with it, and here we are.
So, yeah, perseverance. Great advice. Great advice. Let's jump over to questions. I have to skip some of the people asking for lots of tax advice. So I'm going to avoid the questions, and you can reach out to Andre specifically. Um, there is a question with also claiming work from home allowances from tax. I'm also going to say reach out to Andre specifically
Wait,
unless you
wait,
got
wait.
something.
Let me provide free value here,
Okay.
and then they can decide whether they want to chat with me
Okay.
afterwards. I'm going to grab this one on claiming how to claim from, the home office allowance is difficult to claim. SARS made it really difficult in 2021. There's a lot of hoops that you need to go through. Also, you cannot claim for things like telephone and internet. You can only really claim for a portion of your rent or a portion of your interest, depending on whether you own or rent the property, and then maybe some electricity and water. But then you have to use the place exclusively for business purposes, and you have to have worked mainly at your home office and not at the work office. So that's the rough detail around it. But I often find the value of trying to do it is not worth the effort in putting in of doing it. So I hope that helps. Um, the other question there from Renee, living in South Africa but earning euros. So if you live in, that's very popular. But the way it would work is, if there's no agent that is deducting pay as you earn in South Africa, you are obviously responsible for the tax on your side. So you have to submit provisional tax returns. I also highly recommend to use a bookkeeper, or to use online software like Xero or Sage, where you can track your foreign income. Just make sure that you do the rand conversions properly. And the benefit of earning foreign income where there's no pay-as-you-earn agent in SA is that you can claim business expenses or trade-related expenses.
And one more question from Bevelina, who says, "How do you grow your clientele?"
So the only way that worked for me is becoming very obnoxious and pretend that people, and don't fear people. That's really the key on sales. I did it on Twitter and YouTube. That does not mean you should do it on Twitter and YouTube. A lot of sales is just selling yourself and saying, "Hey, I'm a tax practitioner. Do you need help with your taxes?" And you start with your own family, and then you grow from there, and then you go to your friends. And usually 90% of accounting companies, unless they're the big four, grow as a result of word of mouth. Word of mouth grows when you deliver a good service. So that's really how you grow your clientele.
Thanks so much for that. That's it from in terms of questions. Any last few words from you, or anything we didn't discuss that you'd like the audience to know?
Anything to know? Yeah, I mean, I think I see there are a few CAs in the comment section who are working, who are live. I understand that nowadays accounting companies are becoming more prevalent in the media and need to do that. And so learning from somebody like a Gary Vaynerchuk, or somebody like that, will give you a step forward into the right direction of how to put yourself out on social media. Because I think that is one area. The only reason I'm winning, and the only reason I'm sitting in the space where I'm currently sitting, is because I was a first mover on social media about tax. I don't see very big first movers on accounting. I don't see it on auditing. It's a wide open space.
There you have it, everyone. That's an opportunity. Take it or leave it. It's up to you.
There you
That's a
go.
great way to end. The show has been live on YouTube and should be available on podcast by tomorrow. If you're watching on YouTube or listening on the podcast and you feel that it's added value, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click on that notification bell to get automatically notified when the next episode comes out. Andre? Thank you so much for your time.
Always, thank you. It was great for the interview.
Thanks everyone for joining us for another episode of Two Ways to Skin a Cat. Goodbye.